What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Flesh and Blood Blitz deck tech video. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I know, and I said I'd get better at it. I'm sorry. It's whatever. Uh, don't expect too much from me anymore. It's just I've built a lot of decks. Like I've built every deck, and it's just been like running shallow on deck ideas. So if anybody actually sees this and you have any deck ideas, let me know in the comments. But today we're getting to a very special hero to me. I know in the last one I said Levio is my all-time favorite hero. But that's a lie because now Arakni is. Uh, I've been excited for the assassin ever since he was leaked, and I love the playstyle. I love the the cards that they have. I love the art. Like obviously, like this surgical extraction playmat. It's so nice. I love it. I mean, also the armory event last on yes 2 days ago, whatever. I won the cold foil Arachne, so I get to play him in CC too, which makes me happy. Yeah. But without further ado, let's get into it. So obviously the hero is Arachne. Uh, kind of self-explanatory since it's the Arachne deck. But essentially, what he says is whenever you play a card with contract, you can look at the top card of your opponent's deck and choose if it stays on the top or if it goes on the bottom. So essentially what that means is every time you play an attack in this deck, you can manipulate the top of your opponent's deck to your advantage. And I love that so much because whenever an attack hits, like this one, you get a silver for it. And silvers buy back your equipment. I'll get into that later. It's just so cool. I love it. Next are his weapons. Ugh, spider's bites. So they each attack for one. They're the same weapon, just the art flipped. So it's a 2 cost, 1 attack weapon with piercing 1, which if you know what piercing is, it essentially says when you block with that equipment, it gets +1. Kind of like Kasai Centauri Sabers, but for equipment. Uh, and when it hits, the opponent's defending attack action, the opponent's attack action cards get -1 defense while blocking. I just love that so much because it's so easy to take advantage of in ninjas, especially. It's not going to come up too much in warriors or wizards, but decks that don't play attack actions, but it doesn't matter. It's still a cool ability. Uh, yeah. So your attacks make these the silver tokens. Um, you can pay 3 and pop them to draw a card. That's not really what you're gonna do. I could see you do it in CC maybe a little bit, but not too much in Blitz. Next is the equipment loadout. I run the Mask of Perdition. Obviously, he needs his mask and his boots. The mask and the boots both have Battle Worn, and they block for 1. But when it's in the graveyard at the start of your turn, when it's in your graveyard, if mask is in your graveyard, you can crack 2 silvers and get it back. I love the flavor of using your equipment to fulfill contracts than using your contract money to go and buy more new equipment. I love it so much. But the attack reaction is when an assassin card or when a card with contract hits, um, you can banish the top 2 cards of the deck instead of 1. So it just lets you fill out your contract so much easier. Next are the Blossom of Spring and or Tunic. So I run Tunic into Icelander in kind of slower matchups like Oldhim and some Bravo matches even. Cause control Bravo is a thing. Plus it's a late game block, so that always helps. And I use Blossom of Spring because it's just that quick, instant one. Well, I guess not instant, I guess action. But yeah, you just get that one a lot faster. And it can come in handy if you can only pitch for like Spider's Bite or just 1 resource short. But yeah, I run the Tunic in slower matchups. Next is Crackerjacks. So I used to run the Bracers of Belief, but I was finding that I would hit blues and yellows way too often for me to justify that. Um, so Bracers is like you review the top card of your deck if and your next attack gets +X, where X is the 3 minus the pitch value. So if you're hitting reds, you're gonna get 2 every time. Um, but if you're hitting blues and yellows, it's essentially useless. So Cracker Jacks is just that one quick one. It's reliable, it's consistent. That's why I run it, consistency. Um, Next is the Black Tech Whisperers. So funny story. First pack of Dynasty I opened, I got the Black Techs, and I recently bought a box. I got a box for Christmas, so I bought a box for Christmas. Uh, and I got another one in it, so that's cool. I ended up trading it for tech plating, which I need. If I ever do a Bravo deck profile, you'll see it in there. But yeah. Um, Again, battle worn blocks for one. Uh, at the start of your turn, if it's in your graveyard, you can pay 2 silvers and get it back. Again, same thing with the mask. I love it. And their attack reaction is on hit, it gives it go again. So that's neat. Next, I run an Arcane Barrier package, being the row, the gloves, and the Arcane Lantern. I run this into Kano. I run this into the Emperor, and I usually run it into Icelander. Um, but usually with Icelander, I kind of drop the robe, especially if I know what kind of Icelander list it is. Um, you can just never tell, but I usually take it safe and run this. But if I'm feeling confident enough, I run the Tunic. But yeah, Arcane Lantern, because your Spider's Bites are one-handed, so it's nice to get that one extra in there. Kind of like Guardians do with Titan's Fist in this. But yeah, just AB3, just kind of normal. Because when you need a Arcane Barrier, you need Arcane Barrier. Alright, let's get into the actual deck. So the only attack I run Rainbow, like the only attack I run Rainbows of, is Sack the Shifty. Um, since it's 0 cost, 4, 3, and 2 attack that says contract. You're contracted to banish the opponent's cards with base go again. So it's good in ninjas. It can go into warriors to some extent. Uh, Not very. But if they're playing like warriors valor and hit and runs and all that kind of good juicy stuff with go again, yeah, it's gonna come in handy. But yeah. So and when it hits, if you complete the contract, you get a silver token. So that's very nice. Next, I run red and yellow Plunder the Poor. The red hits for 4, the yellow hits for 3. And this one is contracted to hit cards with 1 or less cost. Yeah. There's another one in here. I'll bring it out now. It's called Rob the Rich, and that is for cards with cost 2 or greater. I only run the yellows in that. My ratios might be a little different than yours if you play Arakni, or you might say the ratios are a little weird. But you gotta remember, I build my decks around local meta and what I think is good, and these ratios have been working pretty good for me. So maybe only a few hiccups here and there, but you know, every deck is gonna have hiccups. Uh, yeah, so there's that. This one does 1 or less, this one does 2 or greater. This one really comes in hand, like, this one can get around most decks. This one is good in Guardians and Briar. I think Briar is one of the better matchups in this deck, actually. Because I usually run AV1 or 2. Uh, Usually 1, I usually run Arcane Barrier 1. Because even the Rune Chants are just one instance of Arcane Barrier, or of Arcane damage, so you can just pitch 1 for every single one. Yeah. Next, I run the red and the blue, Annihilate the Armed. This one, the red hits for 5, blue hits for 3, yellow hits for 4. Um, this one is looking for attack action cards. And again, on hit, banish top card of your deck. If it's an attack action, um, you get a silver for it. But yeah, this one has little to no use in warriors and wizards. Um, Yeah, so it's whatever. I just wish Blitz had a sideboard so I could actually like side these cards out in place of other ones. Um, but it's whatever. I tried balancing this deck for every matchup. I think the toughest matchups are ninjas and warriors, especially Kasai and Ira. Ira Benji is pretty hard too, but yeah. Next, I run the red Slay the Scholars. Again, another very situational one. It's a 0 cost 4 hit, attacks for 4, and is looking for non-attacks. So this one is super good in Wizards. so-so in Warriors, but yeah, super good in Wizards. Plus, I mean, if you're playing into like a Kano or something, yeah, no, this is yeah. Well, I said Wizards. Even if you're playing into a Ninja and you hit their God, what's a Ninja card? Maybe Ninja was a bad example. But yeah, no, this can get used in almost any matchup. Next is Nyx the Nimble. I only run two because it's looking for reactions. And yeah, most decks play at least a Sync or a Fate Foreseen. But it's mainly for warriors, and I feel like three or even four is a little clunky. So that's why I only run two. Plus, it's just a 1 for 5, so at least it's a 1 for 5, right? Next, I run one Eradicate. So this is the yellow Majestic. Um, there's four Majestic Assassin attacks, and they're all stupidly hard to pull. So that's why I had to proxy two of them, and I think people know which ones they're gonna be. But I hate proxying cards, and that's why I waited so long to do this deck profile or deck tech. But yeah, so this is a 1 for 4, and you're contracted to banish yellow cards. So each one of the like the Majestic Assassin cards, target the color. So Surgical Extraction targets blues. This will Eradicate targets yellows, and Leave No Witnesses targets reds. Uh, but this one says you banish the top X cards, where X is the damage dealt. So if you can pump this bad boy up with a bunch of attacks and pop Cracker Jacks on it, you're going to be banishing a lot. Next is Regicide, legendary, so you can only run one. I like it. It's a 0 blue pitch 3 block. Um, so basically, let's see. You can't. So the defending hero can't block with cards that's in their banish zone, and at the end of the combat chain, you lose the game. But if this hits a royal hero, they immediately lose. So it's targeting the Emperor, obviously Regicide. This is big thing. I think it's more for flavor. Also, the Crown of Dominion comes in handy because I've seen some Bravo players use the Crown of Dominion and do some funny shenanigans with it actually. But yeah, I like it. Again, it's a blue pitch, 0 cost, 3 block. So worst comes to worst. These are the cards I had to proxy. It's Leave No Witnesses and Surgical Extraction. They all hit for 4, with the exception of Regicide, which hits for 3. Um, but yeah, Leave No Witnesses is looking for red cards. On hit, they banish the top card of their deck and their arsenal, so it's like a better CNC. And Surgical Extraction is looking for blue cards, and on hit, they banish the top card of the deck, and you can look in their hand and banish a card from it. Super good. Yeah, it's this art for Surgical Extraction, by the way. Next, I run 2 Payday. It said it's an action, and it says if you completed a contract, create 4 silvers. So essentially, what that means is if you used Mask and Boots to give your thing go again, you'd need 4 silvers to do it. And if you completed a contract, let's say with Mask, and you hit it both times, that's 2 plus 4, so that's 6 silvers, and you're essentially set for the rest of the game. If you can keep a steady supply of silvers, you're good for the rest of the game. Um, I pulled 2 foils of these, and I'm super happy that I did because Assassin Majestics are stupid to pull, especially foil ones. Like foil assassin cards are ridiculous. Next, I run Rainbow of the Cut to the Chase, which is the assassin attack reaction. Um, and red gives it +3, yellow gives it +2, blue gives it +1. And you can look at the top card of the opponent's hero or of the opposing hero's deck again. So if you played the card with Arakni, didn't like what you saw, you put it to the bottom. Cut to the Chase says, "Oh, we'll help you out. You can look again." And if you play multiple, that's multiple instances of looking at the top card, and multiple chances to hit what you play to hit what you're looking for, and multiple chances to slide good stuff at the bottom. So yeah, super good card. Won me many games. Plus, I just love the promo of this card. I like full arts. Um, like the Regicide full art. I just love seeing these cards next to each other because I like full arts a lot. Yeah. Next is 2 shreds. So I'm only running the reds, because I'm good. I like the blue and yellow count in this deck is 11 for each, so it's 11 blues, 11 yellows, and 18 reds, which I feel like is a pretty good ratio. Because you want to see at least one or two yellows or blues a hand. Reds are the attacks and reactions, and then blues are to pitch for the spider spites. Um, yeah, but I just feel like red is enough. Because it's definitely a game maker or breaker. Plus, it gives -4 to a card defending this chain, so that's just super good. Next, I run 2 Razor Reflex because there's only one attack. Well, I guess there's 2 attacks in the entire deck that cost 2, and it's a Surgical Extraction, and 90% of the time I'm pitching it. Um, so yeah, the only card that I can't target in the deck is the one I'm pitching, so or the only attack. But yeah, it gives +3. It gives go again, so you're not relying on your boots for a source of go again all the time. It's just an all-around good card. And another card that helps me get around relying on boots is Captain's Call, which I'm only running the yellow. So the original deck list I ran had 6 Captain's Calls, and that was way too much. So I cut it to 4, but I was still missing out on some cards. Like I was running the red and the yellow Captain's Call, and I cut out the Rob the Rich. But I'm like, I play against a lot of Guardians around me, and I just said, okay, this is enough. I need to rob the rich. So I cut the reds, and I feel like yellow is all you need because it gives +2, it gives go again. Um, Plus you don't only need 2 blocks. Like I only have 4 2 blocks in the entire deck, and that's the cut to the chases and the captain's calls. But yeah, so I feel like it's good. You can get around boots. Plus it's the yellow pitch, so it's not that bad. But yeah, that is the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.